however, put themselves on blue side, so blue side focus for the majority of this week and certainly in this series.
The immediate ban on Jensen's Oreo.
Get it out of here.
That was such a pivotal pick in the way C9 played that entire game, playing through mid lane, getting jungle control, using that to deny Condi. Just get it out of there is what Team W says.
And I think they also don't want to deal with a ranged jungler on red side and a potential counter pick, say counter pick top or counter pick for mid lane. They don't want to have too many variables for them to isolate where to focus their attention. So just banning away the premier ranged jungler in the Ezreal on blue side. They also, of course, have the more freedom that blue side bans bring.
And here C9 is put into such a difficult spot because Team WE has not opted for the Lulu ban to bait a Janna ban. They're saying, C9, if you want out of this Janna Lulu hole, you're going to have to ban both. And that's not something C9 is willing to do. Kalista has been banned on red side every single game since the group stage, and Sejuani is also a very active party.
But isn't that fun that game on game we could have one game where we will have the Lulu versus Janna meta, which is the Team WE blue side games, and then instantly C9 with one ban can largely force a reactive ban, and the series can turn in such a turbulent way game to game as fun as the Caitlyn that we have not seen from Mystic is going to be locked in first pick.
And WE, they picked blue side, so all of this setup, seeing that C9 didn't ban either Lulu or Janna, really gives us this. Team WE, we've seen so many ADs first pick. It's not Trist, Xayah was banned, but this time it's Caitlyn.
I'm surprised by the Caitlyn pick, but it does show Team WE's hand right away. They're all behind Mystic, they're all behind being able to win that early game. And now the question is, does C9 match with Janna? And then something like Varus or Ashe, who I think are very good lanes against the Kate.
And I like the fact that you mentioned Janna because it was Janna Kate. It was the duo where you could get through the early game, just give a bit of extra AD, get over the hump, the nurse towards Caitlyn's Q did, win the lane as a Janna lane, and then have Janna for the late game. And that's why a Janna takeaway here would at least arrest that particular development.
I think there was a lot of discussion there with Reaper and Sneaky in particular about what do they need to not get destroyed in that lane, because that is ultimately what crutches on the Caitlyn pick, because Janna is a better late game team fighter than the Lulu, but Lulu shoves the lane better than Janna early. So essentially I feel like that conversation was, with Janna plus X, can you deal with Caitlyn Lulu? Because that's exactly what Team W is going to lock in on the next side. No questions asked.
And I think it'll be an extent thing, because I think on paper, no, but to what degree can you at least buy time? Is it the 9-minute turret instead of the 6-minute turret, the 15-minute turret? Maybe that's already the dream, given just how strong a pushing lane Caitlyn X is, but Caitlyn Lulu certainly.
And it's a very nuanced conversation because you also have to think about late game. We saw the Kog'Maw go into the Caitlyn, but we also didn't expect to see Caitlyn blind picks because there are other 80 carries you can match it with in the long run.
Interesting to see a change here from C9. Again, thinking AD, even thinking maybe Nah, because again, it is open for impact, but it will be Tristana again. C9 will hold, picking both their bot laners here.
And WE haven't just completely gone for early game choices. Rumble was a common pick with these Caitlyn comps. They have gone for the Cho'Gath, maybe denying it away from C9, from them just having a blind pickable top lane. The ban phase will tell us a story. No jungler yet selected on WE's side, and Pondi's Gragas, of course, is very famous.
Exactly, so they can get rid of the main tank jungler meta as well, which will potentially hurt them in the late game, but if you're talking about early game tempo, there's a lot of warrior junglers that can still bring a lot of heat in the early game. Lee Sin comes to mind, Kha'Zix comes to mind.
Pondi's Lee Sin also.
And Rek'Sai. There's just too many to ban away all of them.
Rek'Sai at least released pressure from Jensen in a lot of matchups. We saw, of course, the Ryze Rek'Sai used to great use. So the Ryze hover earlier. That's going to have to be a last pick, if anything, given that Ryze, outside of Korean teams, definitely been struggling recently. It impacts Shen. They don't want to deal with it. That'll be the final ban for WE.
Their champion is not Nah, though. So if Sinner want to take it now and give Jensen the counter pick, that does set them up quite well.
Nah is less reliable, I would say, than the Shen in terms of how C9 wields it, and also with a warrior jungler plus Cho'Gath, there's kill potential on the Nah early to kind of get the top laner through what can be an awkward phase. There's also still this man.
What's good top lane? Singed? What else? Only Singed.
All right,
is the answer there for Impact. That's the famous Ray line from when they locked in Riven at Rift Rivals, but that is the trust that Reaper can put in his players. So both of these guys are fully on board of this Singed pick. It's into the Cho'Gath now. I think it's a much more difficult matchup. Cho'Gath can keep Singed in place with auto attack slows, and that's the Lee Sin we're expecting to see.
It's also a potential kill lane if you can hit the Rupture.
Oh, this is the other option.
Jungle?
Yeah, that was the other option, right?
Could be Malphite jungle too.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's not that much damage to kill Singed with in the late game.
I mean, it's not much damage, period, right? The mid laner choice here, without an Orianna, for example, who has great ball carriers, is going to be a really interesting one. It's just going to be the Corki again as a blind pick. It's very interesting. That's the whole WE have put themselves into now.
I think you have to. Like, you need insurance, right? Like, you have a good front line. You need maybe a better marksman. Ooh.
It is.
Just forget about this one.
Full early game. When they debuted this composition, it was with the Jace mid, but this is also not the same circumstances as when Team WE first pulled this out. The Caitlyn, blind, C9 gets to plan for it. The Jace, blind, C9 gets to plan for it with Jensen's pick as well. And only the Syndra, Orianna, and Galio banned from the mid lane pool.
Wave clear, safe wave clear, to me is what you want, or you could go full assassin and really start to go crazy. The wave clear route is the safer one, and also make the plays around the map potentially aid the Singed, and Talia is available.
And Pace Your Time, you and I have talked a lot about Jensen's Talia in particular, because early on in the split, this champion did not fit Jensen's profile. He wanted to play around mid, only mid, get the turret, win the game. But he has since evolved a little bit into roaming more and playing around the bottom side. And traditionally, his Talia has been great in laning phase, bad post-laning phase. That's the transition Jensen would have to make here. But mainly, if he gets out of laning phase, C9's probably feeling pretty good.
Certainly do agree there, Jensen. I mean, when he played Aurelion Sol's like, hey, he's never played this. That's really weird style-wise. My response was going to be, his Talia's not even that good.
And I mentioned it might be a Maokai jungle. They do settle on Maokai jungle as the champion select starts to lower. Of course, has very strong gank potential from level 2.
Yeah.
They will go for the Cho'Gath, the better laning matchup by far against the Singed. But this jungle pick has been unreliable from the video I've seen.
Yeah, so as far as jungle Maokai is concerned, he does have very reliable ganks early,
Definitely.
but his clear speed is where he took the largest hits. So when Maokai was first buffed, he had a lot of base damage on his saplings. That was the main nerf for him, which pushed him almost exclusively towards the top lane role. So the early game will be very pivotal right here, whether or not Connie can get those first few kills, because he can't get a huge amount of gold just by hard farming the jungle.
And you worry, because Maokai kind of needs to make the proactive move, otherwise we still will have Singed largely being able to run away. The pressure drafts from C9 have been consistent. They're going to try and make the same play style again.
Yep, kind of sitting a little on the other side, actually. I mean, as far as early playmaking goes, early aggression goes, have to favor WE given how they pick. C9 now, they're forced back a little late, and their biggest strengths have been early game, and one of their weaknesses has been mid game, so you have to navigate a tough early game and then play someone where you know you're not as strong.
Yeah, it's a good point. They have mid lane priority still with the Talia early, and they have the Jarvan who's happy to invade into a Maokai, but the side lanes are more unreliable, especially bot lane, which should be very much WE focused.
Ignite from Shee's
Yep, he's in there.
as well. Everything is in that early game pressure. The flash twisted advance from Condi will be the gank of choice against what is a cleanse Jensen and a Singed top.
And that's why I'm interested to see, does Contrax's job change from being the primary early game ganker, the invading jungler, into maybe a bit more like we see from Blank, fighting for vision around mid, because if they can double control ward both sides of mid lane, it relieves so much pressure from Jensen when it comes to those twisted advance engages.
All right, now Impact and 957 just hanging out. 957 got a couple bits of damage with the Vorpal Spikes as Condi lines up his first few saplings. Looks like both junglers will be starting on the same side. And again, maybe trending towards that bottom lane as well. We haven't seen Contracts really play around his bottom lane at all, so we'll see if the shift in focus for either jungler becomes apparent in this game.
I really want to see Condi's early jungling and how much he's practiced the sapling stack on Maokai. He needs to be able to get all three of them to bounce separately for the best possible pull. Checking back, he actually has. You can see that was the final sapling, but Impact actually trolls it away, which will slow down Condi's jungle path. That's pretty substantial, actually, because it delays him by about 6 seconds or so.
And I want you to notice that there were no deep wards from WE to spot Contractors. There was a blue ping. They're expecting it to be a red side start because C9 got to bot lane very fast, but they don't have much information, and you can be so much more creative early with the Jarvan compared to the Malcolm.
And Contracts maybe thinking buff to buff. She also does have a ward as well, so I think just going to check and see what Condi is up to. In fact,
disrupt these. If he can steal them away, it's pretty big. Sapling won't kill, but he can steal them after.
Looking for one, gets one only. There's two.
Played a lot of Maokai jungle. I know the damage is on the Raptor camps. It's very slow, but that is exactly how you want to play it. The saplings do much more damage when thrown in a brush, and then do a dot over time. So it's actually pretty easy to steal them as well, because you see the burst, and then you know it's going to tick out.
And it's also the right timing. Talia had pushed in Jace. Jace couldn't leave. One of the small times they'll have their lanes in the right spot, given that top and bot lane should go better for WE relatively than other times. They get the little contest, they back away. Low risk, high reward.
Yeah, ward as well. Also will likely protect Jensen, so the aggression that maybe we expected from Condi, a potential level 2 gank, is at least scouted out for now. But again, Condi staying on those Krugs, maybe towards that bot side as Contracts, just clearing the rest of his jungle.
And this is not the same matchup as Singed versus as Maokai in the top lane. The Cho'Gath has much more kill pressure and is much more threatening, especially when combined with the lockdown of the Maokai early in the game. I'll be very curious to see if Impact goes Spectre's Cowl as his first item instead of Haunting Guys, thanks to the increased kill.
Yeah, that was the point I was going to get to, is I don't know how married he is to the Leandri's Rush build that did find a lot of success in game 1. As
They're
well,
going in.
Contracts is here.
He flashed
already
with the flip.
flashed, yep. Oh,
Missed
doesn't
it.
quite connect, but the slow might still be good enough. Damage is there. Impact in a tank 1. Turret hit, make it 2. Oh my god, that rupture
Dead.
was amazing! First blood, 957.
Big turnaround there, gets the kill. Contracts should only walk away in disgust. Mid lane, remember, Ignite on Gia.
Getting aggressive, Jensen with his summoners as the sapling doesn't quite tag him.
That gank needed to be called off by C9 the instant the flash didn't connect from Contracts, but they decided to stay with it. The rupture came back off cooldown, and 957 just caught Impact in turret range.
And of course, with top and mid fighting, bot also has the go signal there as the aggression starts. In fact, Condi could potentially die. This wave should push in.
Yeah, knows all the tricks, able to pull the Gromp into the brush as well to get the extra damage on the saplings. Barrier heal also down from Sneaky makes this gank threatening if they decide to go for it.
As his flash up as well, so good flash over if they see an opening. Don't see one yet.
Oh, Sneaky went
going in.
Very aggressive, actually trying to take down Ben, but Condi doesn't quite go for the dive. The wave not there. Sneaky contesting.
He couldn't know, but that actually bought the blasting plant jump there from the Maokai, not knowing what was going on. It was so uncharacteristic given the setup we saw. He'll return all the way around though, Condi.
Still here.
Wave is gone though.
Yeah, again, C9 has done a good job aggressively defending.
All right, here they come.
Level 4 just pinged by Condi. Not in vision yet.
Sneaky hit 4 as well, but Smoothie's not so lucky. Now there's Condi looking for the dive. They're going to move up for it. Polymorph hits in onto Sneaky. That's the main target. Rocket jumps over the top, and Mystic, he tanked the turret. If that NATO would hit, he would be dead.
It was a big mind game there. They wanted to see the NATO early. Mystic very, very low. The NATO was held onto by Smoothie, so couldn't use Twisted Advance. Condi just leaves. No kill to C9, but otherwise, failed dive again.
Very slim margin for error in lanes like this. Sneaky still trying to stay in lane as long as possible to not give Mystic a favorable recall. They know he's low, and they're actually trying to push the tempo on that lane.
Oh, Gia going, yep, he wanted it, but can't fully commit. Flashes the flare, though. And Jensen, that's him forced out of lane. Contract, a little help, but not enough.
Chinese crowd loves the aggression being shown by Gia. Thought about the flash Q, had the ignite as well. Cleanse up on Jensen, cleanse away the damage portion at least, but Gia knows he has to play on the front foot. Usually, remember, he's the one who also, like 957, is just kind of enduring, playing the wave clear, buying time for Mystic. He's probably still very much going to be involved in buying time, but in this time, it's buying time with just being a pressure valve in it.
Well, C9 couldn't have known that Condi left the bot lane, but actually a good recall timing here for them. Sneaky catches up a little bit in farm. Ben's going to pull the wave here. And again, make sure gold goes to Mystic.
And they both got BF Sword on their own back, as well as being able to get a health potion onto Sneaky. So early laning phase-wise, that's about as well as it could have gone for C9, with their summoner spells also coming back up shortly.
I basically nodded my head and say, yep, better than expected for what the lane looked like. Caitlyn Lulu and the early trades are going very, very well. Side WE.
Might be the tagline for the series at this state, but you can see Mystic as Caitlyn. 2 wins and a monstrous CSD at 10.
And what the worrying thing would be for C9 here is actually the top lane not going to expectations for the Singed. He's pretty far behind the Cho'Gath, and you're going to have to deal with some stuff going down later, but Mystic has flash.
He's got some Contracts, maybe going to try and outplay. Doesn't quite read it, but the Tornado is good. Still, damage turned back in onto Smoothie, who gets polymorphed and forced to flash away. Sneaky too low to try and keep fighting.
And C9 overcommitting on 2 separate ganks, nearly getting themselves in trouble, which is interesting because the early game is so heavily in the favor of Team W, it's almost like C9 is trying too hard to prevent it from happening.
Yeah, Talia made the first roam. She would have been there first, didn't use the weave as well. Now mid lane, She still has flash.
Ooh, forcing a flash just from a bit of snow popped into the mid lane.
Well, essentially, he needed to flash before the Singe cast his grounded effect. Otherwise, he would have been slowed enough to get hit by the seismic shove. So it's a respect flash, and it shows the threat of that gank.
Grounded effects so limited in League of Legends. Only Cassiopeia that had it with the Miasma, but giving it to Singe ended up, alongside some other tweaks, being a really big buff. The Singe, you don't often see Singe forcing a reactive gank the moment he exits the Fog of War.
Well, certainly C9. Pretty even kill here, which is good for them. Although Ben gonna get aggressed on. That heal may save his life.
Very aggressive.
And the shield is get him! Sneaky gets a kill. They're gonna go for two. Mystic, no summoners left. Sneaky outplays them.
Sneaky and Smoothie in lane. 2v2 Mystic and Ben. That is massive for this game.
And it was in a losing matchup as well. It's so big, gets them pressure bot lane and pressure now mid.
Jensen v Condi. Oh, the shove barely missed. GA does take that contracts in Jensen. A heartbreak to not get the kill. Flash auto's in, trying to block it out of the way. That auto was not good as Jensen gets a shield by Jana.
And it's actually the bottom lane that is holding things together for C9, because both times Contracts has gone for a kill on the solo lane, it has gone awry. Shie and 957 keeping this game even.
Maokai flashed in and the auto attack went to him instead of Jace. Probably would have killed the Jace. No extra AD from Smoothie available at the time. A game of inches in the mid lane. Only big seismic lead is Sneaky and Smoothie though. That first purchase, being able to get the BF sword, made this play possible. He should have been down an AD given the matchup, but he was even, and that was so big.
And when we talk about Mystic, he's a great player, but he's a greedy player. And this was a greedy play by both Ben and Mystic. They weren't even close to winning this 2v2. They just didn't expect C9 to have the aggressive move, just based on the assumption that Caitlyn and Lulu was unbeatable in lane. Big miscalculation.
This is the replay also, the wall over. Remember, Gia's flash was used earlier. They come in here, watch how close this gets. Ignite means that Contracts will go down. One auto, next auto should kill him. Doesn't in this case.
And also, the missed seismic shove by Jensen, so critical. He was knocked up by Contracts EQ, which if he is just waiting for the EQ knockup would have made it free.
Yep.
But he wasn't on the same page of Contracts. He was placing the seismic shove for where Shie would have ran. Instead, he got interrupted by the knockup from Jarvan, didn't get the kill.
Well, let's take a deep breath. We're 10 minutes in, and sure, top lane hasn't gone exactly as planned for C9. Remember that we entered this game with the expectations from the draft. WE are early game focused. Get that big lead, get the bot lane turret. Getting the bot lane turret looks damn hard given they lost 2v2. The turret being up at 9 minutes wasn't a guarantee. It's going to be up, it seems like, as long as C9 damn please, barring a big TP gank bottom. With the scaling advantage, C9's equal in gold.
And C9 might actually be going for a play here, teleporting in with impact. The question is, are they forcing too hard? Because they're committing maybe even 5 if Jensen comes down as well.
They are more than going for a play. TP in from 957 could call it off. Jensen coming down, 957, running interference, gonna get knocked back in. Sneaky taking through the turrets, but Jensen, huge shove there. Sneaky now gonna jump it up to 957, and that isn't bad enough. Jensen barely gets the kill. Monsoon from Smoothie, trying to reset the situation. Contract dunks Ben and forces his flash, but Condi a little too low, getting the charge down as Impact will get that one. Sneaky still low, Mystic weaving auto attacks in towards him, but they just walk away.
And the slow play actually works out very well for C9 as they're able to get Jensen shoving 957 back over the wall and had 5 people there slightly sooner. It didn't end up being a turret dive at all. It just ended up being kind of an awkward fight in the jungle.
It doesn't need to be a turret dive because they got 2 kills. They push in the minion wave. Talia will push in the mid lane minion wave as well. They win in more places than necessarily taking down the turret. Remember, this is off script. WE want to be making this same play around the enemy turret bot lane. It looked like an overforce, but they never actually take turret aggro. They turn on to 957, and they almost burst him down instantly.
And it looked a little dangerous as well with Contracts going right into a giant Cho'Gath, but the Cho'Gath never had Feast for that play as well. A beautiful ultimate by Smoothie, also forcing flashes at the end of it by Contracts, and they just run down Condu, who they already know is flashes.
2 flings, 2 kills because they were out of the turret. They did not tank it before they needed to. Remarkable restraint for C9, who still are doing the opposite of what you would expect.
Full dive on Jensen.
Yep, oh, 1v3 right now. Condu's gonna try and save him. That's not nearly enough.
2 can play the game of playing around mid lane and sending a 3-man dive. That was a vintage C9 move in the regular season. Jensen with no flash is punished, but C9 now trying to collapse as well on the mid lane.
Just think about, I'll hold the point.
Untent here for Triss. Tornado, not enough. Smoothie flashes in. Actually, maybe gets a little bit now. Condi, he's that
dead.
Dead, yeah, no flash, no chance. Sneaky.
Jungle Maokai is a low-income version of Maokai, and Condi is far behind the curve right now. His farm was somewhat disrupted in the early game, but unable to pick up too many kills or assists makes him very squishy right now.
And one thing I want people to take away is the play WE made wins in every way if bot lane had actually been the early turret going down, because this in draft phase should not, according to the calculators of WE, been sneaky and smoothie on Justana Janna, rotating mid first, actually being able to cut off Caitlyn Lulu. Caitlyn Lulu should win the lane, push down the turret, force C9 under a turret basically, and then roam first. But the bot lane winning makes WE's play so much less reliable.
Mystic is level 7 right now. They are so far behind and also lose the scaling. First turret going down gives C9 a big early game lead.
Smoothie also experienced lead and a sensor lead.
Okay.
Good, all right.
Also, she is level 11 against Jensen. This game defying expectations.
Mystic flashed already, but Contract's there with a dunk. 3v3 though, but Mystic still trying to make it happen. Sneaky gets rooted, but Janna, I think it's a little too much. Sneaky goes in with a rocket jump as Contracts collects credit.
She is roaming down from the mid lane. C9 has to get out of here and fast.
Well, Janna passive gonna have to kick into high gear. Shie gonna try and make one snipe happen. Sneaky, no ulti, does have flash. Dodges the first shock blast. Keep running though, Condi. He's gonna try and take you down. Rocket jumps out of the way. Monster from Janna.
Sensor.
Tornado. Shie goes down to Sneaky. Condi's gonna go down as well. And Ben, my goodness, Smoothie outplayed the hell out of that.
Smoothie played so smart, kept onto the ult. It's reapplying Ardent Sensor onto Jarvan and Tristana the entire time. Baited and outsmarted by C9.
And Sneaky is having the game of his career right now. In the quarterfinals, 5 kills through 14 minutes. He had 1 kill the entire series last year in the quarterfinals. And Sneaky and Smoothie, as you mentioned, outplayed the hell out of Shie right there.
Thank goodness we ran the video right before this game. Perfectly on script. As 5 kills Sneaky, barreling towards the second item.
So this is what a very early Ghostblade rush will do. Jie won rotations with all his spells and goodbye in the mid lane, but the bot lane was where they had the similar advantage. Polymorph gets a lot of damage dropped. Remember that the Maokai basically does nothing. No damage, not that tanky, only level 7. Sneaky's like, cool, gets the reset on his rocket jump, keeps going. This is where most people think it would change, but watch Smoothie.
Dodge the shock blast, and then also to the skies is what Shie flashes for, but he doesn't get it because of the tornado, the second disengage from Smoothie. Once he goes down, it's all too easy for Sneaky to finish off more.
And there's the second turret, about as quickly as the first C9 collect the maximum after that play, and they are 5,000 gold ahead, but this time it is through their bot lane.
It is not a question you have had to ask about WE often. What do they look like when their mid laner is ahead and their bot lane is massively behind? Usually Mystic is everything they invest into. This time Jie needs to be the important carry for WE.
And also, when Mystic is behind in the bottom lane, they have the scaling advantage. They've played a Twitch or a Kog'Maw, and then they can group around that. Much harder to do with the Caitlyn, who is yet to complete an Infinity Edge, when Sneaky is sitting on IE Zeal.
First turret's going to be pretty free. Rift turret also available for Contracts who took it. So C9 fell the outer ring at 16 minutes.
This is just such a game that defies expectations. Mainly because of even the way it is distributed for C9. Based on group stage, Sneaky, lowest damage percentage of all AD carries. Contracts, highest of junglers. Mystic as well, top 3 in damage percentage for AD carries. Number 1 in damage per minute difference between him and the other AD carry. Drafted for the Caitlyn, first picked it over everything else, throwing down the gauntlet, telling C9 that they could not win that lane. But then, not only does Sneaky and Smoothie smash that lane, you also have Jensen, the normal carrier of C9, getting solo killed by Shie and it not mattering. C9's still 5,000 gold up in this game.
Impact chasing down, actually. He's a pure 1v2.
2 levels up. So he's able to walk in and not really worry about the not even Infinity Edge yet. Caitlyn will have to worry about the Youmuu's Ghostblade and already second lethality item completed, the Duskblade there for Xia. So Xia is by far the power deal. And to me, Jad, it's all about what is C9, because the identity was Jensen focused. That was the story in NALCS. They keep reinventing themselves with new picks. Honestly, C9, and if you look at Jensen this series, he's on roam duty. He's on helping side lane duty. Impact singed the big pick in the previous game, and it's all about the bot lane this time out.
And this is why we talk about Jensen. Again, these picks aren't his style necessarily, but to win at the highest level of competition, you need to be adaptable. C9, they've grown so much to get to this point, and now, when it matters, they are performing.
Exactly, adapting to everything that's thrown at them and then trying to find the next gear. That's what they also have to do here. They had a 5,000 gold lead this early on in game one as well, and were unable to close because 957 found some great teleport plays on the Cho'Gath. So now C9 is setting up with Rift Herald and want to break that inner wall of turrets.
And having the Rift Herald actually disincentivizes them from entering the enemy jungle where WE were all cooped up. They're just happy to go into a lane, plop the Rift Herald, and draw out WE. Rift Herald's big thing is the enemy has to send usually outnumbered numbers to even keep up the turret, and they're drawing WE away from their control wards and their brush cap.
Well, this should be good enough here. Sneaky tanks a couple turret shots, but Rift Herald's going to do most of the damage there. Rupture's nice onto 2 from 957, but Jensen cheating over means that C9 do what they could not do in game one with their lead. Break a tier 2 turret easily.
Yeah, and C9 actually would be incentivized to keep the map
Ooh!
a little bit spread out as well. Keep killing turrets, keep shoving the waves. Impact has gone with Leandries and Merc Treads again, which would be dangerous in teamfights against the Duskblade, Ghostblade, Jace.
Now, it does sound a bit like a rerun of our audio from game one. If you think about it, we were talking about the same thing. C9, keep up the pressure, keep up the pressure. Remember, they don't have the same clock. The scaling is not there for WE this game. There is no Cogmore, there is no Hypercarry. It was even Ignite mid lane to get an advantage, so the clock pressure is not there. Playing around tempo, that is important League of Legends, but compared to game one, WE don't have a late game fantasy to hold on to.
Well, 7,000 up now for C9, playing very disciplined through this mid game. Again, just casually sieging turrets. GA certainly a threat. Sneaky gets a bit of aggro, but Rocket jumps away.
Run away.
Thundering blow under the tornado there for Condi. Now the TP's in. They have to throw everything in, but they can't get it. And WE flash out defensively. Impact looks for the flip. Finds it onto Condi. Condi flashes out of the way. 957. He wants the piece, but Mystic gets knocked up by the next tornado.
Very close fight there, burning multiple summoners from Sneaky. That does make it a little bit risky for C9 to stick around, but they still have the Janna ultimate, which means they can continue the push on not only the mid, but also the bot turret.
And Jensen, even getting chunked out, wants to stop any further cutting. Only in a turret left is mid lane, and it's chunked out as well. WE, with the sort of draft that needs to play from ahead, hardly has access to their own jungle.
Just going to take and make it 6-0 in turrets for Cloud9.
This is exactly how they wanted to snowball in game one. This game, though, they have the Trist. You're not worried about that Rageblade Kog'Maw. Mystic is a non-threat. I mean, almost everything that could go wrong for Sneaky in that fight did go wrong. He got knocked out of his rocket jump. All these other things mattered. Team W might make a desperation play.
It's 20 minutes. They don't even have Infinity Edge on Mystic. It's get a Baron or really start to really pocket in. It would have to be multiple fight misplays from C9 to get them out of this position. And remember a small tantalizing point. C9 have side selection once again in game 4. If they win here, they can also put themselves back on the blue side that was successful for them in previous games. So C9 closing out here, just like it was with Misfits, C9 really will be in full control of a series.
Certainly would be nice to break serve on the draft, as C9 already done the legwork as well. WE feint to Baron. They already had a control ward in, and WE, that's it. That's all their offense around the Baron. C9 moved back in, put the wards down. Yes, WE own the speed shrine. But that vision's going to run out in about 20 seconds, and C9's next point of attack could be anything. Impact is already getting the train rolling in bot lane.
And it's all about how deep can they actually get their vision, because they've broken the inner tier of turrets right there, so they need to push WE back as far as possible.
Condi, you are not very tanky, my friend.
No. They're hoping that Shock Blast would do a lot more. Doesn't quite catch Sneaky.
Jarvan now has a chain vest and the Ninja Tabi, so he's happy to start standing in the front. If it's not hitting Smoothie or Sneaky, it's not really getting value. They start the Baron in vision.
And WE knows this is it, so Jensen actually cuts them off.
What a wonderful wall by Jensen. C9, have they timed it correctly?
It's a little too early. They're still going to be able to have a chance at a steal, but they back away. They give it up.
What a perfect Baron take by C9 to push himself up almost 10,000 gold. The last number I got was at Sneaky, was 3,800 gold ahead of Mystic. That number will now change as C9 a prime to end this game.
Pastry time, any other world championship, we'd already be talking about game 4. What is WE going to be bouncing back? But this world championship has been so full of surprises that I'm not completely sure, but it's like a 99% win here for C9 with the Baron, with the Ocean Drake coming back up, with the Tristana. You're expecting them to be able to close this one out.
That's a really big number. 99% is a very high proportion. I felt really good about Fnatic in game 2 when they set up their second Baron. You're right, though. It is odds on for C9. Those sort of shock blasts hitting will at least delay things, but it's going to take some miracles from Shea to make something happen.
Definitely lost a few percentage points with that shock blast. One wave goes
Where are we at
down.
now? 97?
Yeah, 98.5.
Oh.
It's going down, but it's so in control of C9 right now.
Certainly is. And maybe one of the understatements of the series. As Impact and Contracts rotating back in, C9 have a very clear goal. Shove down mid, break that turret, and push themselves one step closer to winning this game. Condi caught out. A flash through the base gate, pops the ulti though. C9 is happy to split up the pressure.
They get 2/3 of the turret on the first push. Reset for the next wave. Oh, they take him all the way in.
All the way in. He's dead. Smoothie gets the kill somehow in and amongst the chaos.
What? This has been a terrible game for Condi, right? He's gotten pitched down on his jungle pool. They don't give him a Lee Sin, and we mentioned how important it was going to be for him to find success early. It just has not been.
He had so many options, but went for Maokai jungle of all things. They rolled the dice and then some. I think they could have gone early game and not commit. Could have been his famous Lee Sin. They went for the Maokai. It has not worked.
And that inhibitor's dead. C9 just waltz on through. Jensen already prepped the next wave. Baron's still up at 10. 2 minutes, sorry, as Impact zoning away Cho'Gath as C9 take a second inhibitor.
Sneaky is over 4,000 gold ahead of Mystic. Just compare the items between the carries to see how out of hand this game has become. They might look to push for the win with the Baroned up wave in the mid lane. Even in a 5v5.
So hard, 24 minutes in. They're going to try and end. Here comes Mystic once again. Still no IE, just a crit cloak.
Yeah, you think that C9's being a little bit too greedy here. Should probably just back away and go get the third wave, but they're riding that wave of confidence right now. Maybe that shock blast will determine them.
Sneaky again, if he can hit some minions with a shield on him, it's going to heal up real quick. TP back in from Impact. C9 going to try and end the game.
Hard to get the waves all the way in at the right time.
Ground on Impact, looks for the flip, flashes in, forces the wild growth. Turret 1 dead.
Super minions will be arriving soon.
Sneaky taking again, Rupture, Beast, Silence! Oh my god, Impact saves his carry, but Sneaky still getting jumped up, makes his way out. Condi goes down, and the last chance saloon is closing for WE. Nexus turret's down, Baron's still there, and Cloud9 do the unthinkable, do the impossible. They are one game away from winning a quarterfinal.
Cloud9 against an early game comp blitz Team WE in less than 25 minutes. People have looked the SKT versus C9 games for a clappening. That was a clappening by C9 and just off script completely.
By C9's bottom lane as well. 3-3 in the group stage against the 5-1 Team WE, but now up 2-1 in this series. Previous quarterfinals, this is the 4th time C9 has been in a Worlds quarterfinal. Never have they won more than one game. They are all smiles right now, momentum clearly on their side.
And to me, it's all about the support staff at this moment for both sides. For the side of WE, they've been in these holes before. They've come back in series before. They'll need to try and steady. They will not have side selection, remember, for the next game, but Reaper and co. also on the side of C9 need to make sure that the team hasn't already spent this great feeling you have. We've almost done it. We're basically 1 foot in the door. Many teams have got there. Misfits, of course, felt that pain.